Welcome back, everyone. I'm Setharoth, and as you can see, today we are at the Elder Gleam Sanctuary. It seemed appropriate because today we are doing a deep dive into the Triumvirate mod spell pack. Now, this spell pack is divided into 5 different mage archetypes. Now, the first archetype, which is what we're going to focus on today, is the Druid archetype. So we're going to be looking at 15 new spells that are designed for a Druid playthrough. Now, what's interesting about the approach that the modder took with this is that these spells they're kind of designed to be the sole focus of an entire playthrough, right? So you've got 5 Conjuration, 5 Restoration, 5 Alteration. Obviously, the Conjurations are all called creatures. And every time you level up, you get the next level up, right? So one's Novice, one's Adept, one's Apprentice. So this gives you a way that you can basically build an entire playthrough around just these 15 spells, if you wanted to. I do recommend combining this with the Apocalypse mod, because they're made by the same modder, and a lot of the Apocalypse spells would actually be really nice on a Druid playthrough. So I highly encourage you to check that out. Another thing to keep in mind for the Triumvirate spells is they are not publicly available to all vendors. So for example, those first 5 Conjuration spells that I showed you, they're only available at 3 places in Skyrim. The first is Danica Purescreen in Whiterun, then Bothella in Markarth, all the way over there, and then last, Dravina the Stoneweaver in Kynesgrove. Man, there's a title. Kynesgrove, there we go. So the only place you can get these 5 Conjuration spells for a Druid playthrough in Triumvirate is those 3 people. That's it. So every spell pack that I'm going to go through for Triumvirate is only available at 3 people in all of Skyrim, which means you have to do kind of a bit of a pilgrimage to gather all the spells, which I like from a story standpoint, right? So if you're a druid trying to get in tune with nature, you have to visit the masters of those spells so that you can start that playthrough, rather than just going up to the College of Winterhold and buying everything you could possibly want. With that said, we're going to go ahead and dive into the Conjuration spells. I think we're going to actually want to go see them in combat. So that said, we'll put Ebony Mace in the right hand, Raven in the left, and we're going to go find ourselves a bit of a fight, a little bit of trouble. One thing to keep in mind with the Conjuration spells for the Druid is the modder took a different approach with Conjuration. So for example, if you conjure Flame Atronach, you just cast the spell. The Atronach stays with you for like 60 seconds, maybe longer if you've got a bit of a buff going, and that's it. Now, these Conjuration spells, and this is why I was hesitant to try them out at first, they are concentration. See, I have to keep the spell up in order to keep my bird. That's it. Right? Now, since that's a novice spell, and my character, this is my main that's trying out a number of different new mods right now, so his Magicka regen is through the roof. Oh wait, is that a... Okay, that's just... Pardon me, gotta kill that. I gotta make sure Kind is pleased with my actions. Come on, where's the bad guys? So the interesting thing, though, about these spells is while you're maintaining concentration, if your Conjuration dies, it is automatically re-summoned. And you know what? Really? Seriously? Is it that hard to find something that wants to kill you in this particular area? Huh. Okay. Well, that said, let's go find somewhere else. Now, each of these creatures that you summon not only does damage, like any other summon, but they also inflict a debuff. So in the case of the Raven, it actually lowers the enemy's weapon skills by 40 points. Alright, I forgot that I had cleared the area around the rift. So we're going to pick on some Imperials today. Just show it up. And here comes the Raven! Alright, so you gotta maintain concentration. The nice thing about the Raven is he lowers their weapon skills, right? So they lower the damage, basically, that the target inflicts. So particularly if you're up against one opponent or 2, your Ravens are particularly useful. Keep in mind, for your basic, if you're just starting out, you're only going to get 1 Raven. In all of these Conjurations, you technically should only have 1, but my guy has the Twin Souls perk, or at least the equivalent, which means he gets 2. So keep that in mind when you usually use this spell. You only get one, but I accidentally mastered Conjuration before this demonstration, and I get 2. Anyway, so as you can see, they keep cutting through the birds, but the birds keep reappearing. As long as you maintain concentration, they keep coming. Whoever they're attacking is going to do less damage because their weapon skills are debuffed. Now, next you have the Rattlesnakes. Now, the special Rattlesnakes actually do appear in pairs. So in my case, I'll get 4. If you're starting out, you'll get 2. They do 2 poison damage per second. So let's give those boys a shot. As you can see, anytime they cut down one of my snakes, he's going to immediately get resummoned. Actually, they seem to be making pretty quick work of these guys. There we go. Yep, they just keep on coming back. So as long as your Magicka holds out, you can keep those conjurations going. And in the case of Rattlesnakes, they actually do poison damage. So pardon me for a moment. My guy is actually a Lich, so the only way I can heal is with Vampiric Drain. Actually, you know what? I think we'll just reload so I can show you guys the next one without getting into too much trouble. Alright, so that's your Raven and your Rattlesnakes. Keep in mind, when you dual cast these spells, that does double the number of creatures that you're unleashing. So for example, if you were to dual cast the Rattlesnake spell as a regular mortal, you will get 4. If I dual cast after having mastered Conjuration, I get more than 4. I get 8. But it does chew through my Magicka, so you want to kind of be judicious with that. So next on the list is called the Grey Wolf. Now we're going to combine this with the Ebony Mace just in case. So your Grey Wolf, it causes living targets below 20% health to rapidly bleed out. So the idea is that you're going to weaken an opponent, and then your wolves will finish them off. Because if they have less than 20% health, the wolves do extra damage. So you can use your Raven to debuff, so they do less damage, and then your Rattlesnakes to poison, and then you can switch to your next one, your next creature, your Wolf, to finish them off once they don't have a lot of health left. So these different conjurations, they were designed to be alternate. They're designed to hop around, right, in the middle of combat, depending on which debuff you want to apply to your target. So next, for example, we're going to look at the Snow Leopard. The Snow Leopard drains 40 points of stamina, and it moves super fast in combat. So let's check it out. Ooh, where'd the other one go? Oh, dude, did the other one already go after that archer? Oh, okay, yeah, these guys do move fast. Oh, yeah, they do much more damage than the wolf. I approve. Whoa, I can't even keep up with them. They're quick. They also do stamina damage. So if you're doing a combat mod such as, oh, come on, tip of my tongue, Wildcat, there we go. There are special debuffs that will be applied to the bad guys and to you if you run out of stamina. So particularly if you're using Wildcat, those Snow Leopards are really nice because you can leverage the debuffs of that mod with Wildcat. And once again, those ones do stamina damage. So depending on your tactic, even if you're trying to escape and you need them to not be able to sprint after you, that is a viable option. Now we've saved the Hound of Hircine for last. This one is particularly nasty. This is the master level spell. It reduces the armor of the target by 250 points for 10 seconds. And let's have a look. And master spells always take longer to cast. There we go. All right, let her rip. Once again, regular people only have 2, although this is a master level spell, so you probably will have the Conjuration enhancing perk by the time you get to these guys, which means you would have 2. You would get 4 of these if you dual casted and have the twin perks perk. Twin souls, that's what it's called. And as you can see, they they do just fine. Oh, did I lose? Oh, I ran out of Magicka. Oh, wow. Okay, so that one actually costs so much Magicka that the spell expired. So that's good to know. Even with my, keep in mind, I am a werewolf, a vampire lord, a lich, and I have a full set of enchanted armor, and this spell is so expensive it's still chewed through all my Magicka, which is pretty nice. I feel like it keeps it pretty balanced. Even the master spells, there's actually a limit built into these spells so that even if I had like 1,000% magicka reduction on these Conjuration spells, there's like a 10% cost that still applies. Like, he built a weakness in so that you couldn't just spam them for the entire combat. You will lose magicka when you're casting these spells, which I thought was another really nice way to limit or restrict how the spell works in game. I prefer balance to my spells, not necessarily just pull the trigger and everything dies. It's nice in the moment, but for a playthrough it gets pretty boring. Alright, that brings us to the alteration related spells for our druid. I think first off we'll go to the map. For alteration spells, as with Conjuration, you can only get them from 3 vendors throughout Skyrim. Alteration spells for the druid can be found in Whiterun, again, with Danica Peerspring, and then the Stoneweaver in Kynes Grove, and last but not least, Froki in the Rift. And I'm not sure where, I mean, the Rift is kind of a big place, but yeah, if you just Google Froki from Skyrim, you can find his location. He's another place where you can go to get these alteration spells. Again, they will only be available if you have a high enough skill level for them, right? If you have 50 in alteration, don't expect to be picking up the awesomest spells you can find. For Druid Craft, we're actually going to need a body count. So, here we go. Oh, jeez, come on. I guess I will have to switch to my Ebony Mace after all. Come on. Alright, can't you see I'm being hostile? Alright, release the wolves! Alright, I forgot the snow leopards do more damage, but you should be able to... Come on, I just need a body. Give me a body. Sound like a necromancer. This is supposed to be a druid playthrough and I'm begging for a body. Alright, we'll keep the spell going long enough to chew out the rest of these guys. Keep in mind these wolves devour enemy stamina, so that will reduce their ability to block and pursue and do power attacks. And they do a decent amount of damage while they're at it. Alright, so let's see. Let's go ahead and... Now, the Druid Craft spell is technically for body removal. I kind of think of it as the way druids would commend a body to nature. They actually convert the body into a plant. Alright, sir, you have worn out your welcome. Goodbye. You're interrupting my playthrough. Alright, so as you can see, you can search the remains, and you can also harvest the plant. The plant is a little trickier to grab, particularly when you are being attacked. Keep missing that one guy. Come on. Alright, this is not working. Let's see. Let's try... Nope, that's the wrong button again. We're just going to do some massed harvesting of bodies. Until one of them gives me a plant I can use. Alright, so at least I'm immortal now. I'm not sure what exploded, but there we go. So we can harvest some Gleam Blossom. That's what I was going for. And again, you can search the remains, and you can harvest Canis Root. So this way, you kind of, I don't know how a druid would think of it, humane body disposal. And you can grow plants. So it's great for an alchemy run, or if you're making like a nature chef of some kind. I don't know. But I think it's a great touch for creating a druid playthrough, because what druid wouldn't want to return the bodies of the dead to nature? And we're going to go ahead and hop back over to where we were. Alright, next is Force of Nature. I showed this one as well in my showcase for Triumvirate, because it is one of my favorites. Let's see, I think we're going to go ahead and combine that. You know what? Let's go ahead and combine that with the Snow Leopards. This could be fun. Alright, so the Force of Nature literally transforms your character into a spirit of nature. Your right hand still is melee attacks. Your left hand can still cast whatever spell you had in your hand before you shapeshifted. There we go. And you do a lot of damage. Your armor is reduced though, so you gotta be careful. This isn't meant to be a sheer tank. This is meant to be using a lot of the druid buffs or the conjurations and that kind of thing. It's not necessarily meant to be go in and take on 10 guys and win. Although the power attacks for this character do actually steal magicka. And you'll notice I am using magicka as I concentrate, not only on the snow leopards, but I'll slowly lose magicka as I stay in this form. And when you do a double power attack, that actually regenerates some of your magicka. So as long as you have something to fight, you can keep your magicka going with all these double power attacks. But it is something you have to keep in mind. And let's see what else is there. This particular form, this shape-shifted form, doesn't do well through load doors. So this is more for one fight or open world. As you can see, like, I'm already stuck in here. While the horns look very intimidating and are quite impressive and certainly would terrify whoever you are charging into, there is the slight problem of the fact most doors are not that high. So keep that in mind if you're in a small dungeon trying to make your way through. Let's see what else is there. Oh, when you are in this form, you do have passive stamina and health regen to a pretty large margin. So you may be running out of magicka if you're not hitting enough targets, but you do regenerate health and stamina. So it's kind of a trade-off, right? So you're not as likely to die, but you still have to be. It changes your play style without making you particularly vulnerable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Alright, that was not ideal. I had my very rare crash to desktop right on schedule. I usually have one every 2 weeks, but this is the first time it happened in the middle of a demonstration. Anyway, getting back to it, our next spell we're going to demonstrate is Wildshape. The next 3 spells aren't even combat-based, so we can show them off in here without any trouble. Now, Wildshape is meant to be used out of combat, so once you cast it, you need to disengage combat, so that is relax your character, double-click to sprint. Oh no, come on. Let's see, this is Wildshape. Wildshape is a little touchy. So you hit one click to sprint, double click, there we go. Alright, so this puppy has 30% more movement speed than your regular character. Excellent for travel. As you can see, it's not using up my stamina or my magicka. So this is more like a buff, right? So it lasts for 60 seconds. The trick is that you have to double click. So you click once to start your sprinting, and then you double click to shapeshift into your form. There we go. And it took me a couple of tries to get it right. But, I mean, you go so fast that I'm not really perturbed by having to do a couple extra clicks, because, wow, you travel so fast with this thing. Once you stop moving, though, you immediately shapeshift back into human form. So it's just for sprinting, and again, it's just for when you are out of combat. So if you are sprinting and come across trouble, you're likely to get interrupted or pulled out of your form for a fight. And as you can see, I'm trying to double click. There we go. Took my 3rd try to get that to pop. But as you can see, the graphics are pretty cool, and that looks like a pretty realistic deer when it's not flickering in and out. I'm not sure whether it's the mod or my camera. My camera, for some reason, has locked. When it goes into 3rd person, it gets really close to the back of your head. Right? I need to figure out how to get my camera further back so you have a wider view. But as you can see, that's a great travel spell without a whole lot of, well, it's pretty fun. And if you are just getting like from Whiterun or just down the street where you know you're not going to be in combat, but you just want to travel faster or in between shopkeepers, that's a really good option. Next, I want to show you Impenetrable Grove. Alright, so this is a crowd control spell, if ever there was one. We're going to start with this little walkway. There we go. So Impenetrable Grove creates trees. Lots and lots of trees. Now these are impassable structures. They count as structures. The thing is, projectiles go right through them. So if you throw up a wall of trees and there are archers on the other side, they can still shoot at you. But the big melee types cannot get through these, right? So if you're in a dungeon, there's lots of bad guys in the next room, you can just plant some trees in the narrow hallway between cells of the dungeon, and they won't be able to get to you for at least, what, 60 seconds? I feel like that lasted 30 seconds. Each tree lasts for 30 seconds. One bit of advice with the trees is they grow really fast, right? So I'm picking a very distant point, and just like that, like they grow on top of each other. So you got to be pretty quick. It takes a little bit of practice if you're trying to create a horizontal path, right? See right there, if you're sidestepping as you cast, that allows you to kind of strafe a little bit and get them lengthwise the way you might want. I suppose if you're being surrounded on all ends, you could just... Woo! Can't touch this. Oh, wait, I'm high up. Oh, that's cool. I haven't tried this before. Woo! So now, oh wow, okay, so if you want to be above your enemies, apparently this is an option. I just aimed at the floor and then spun, and it created enough under me that it actually automatically pushed my character up. That is cool. I did not expect that. And it gives them a little glow around the edges when they're about to wear off, so you can kind of get an idea when you're about to be out of wall, particularly if you're in dire straits and you desperately need one. So that's a pretty cool one. Next one, this is the master level alteration spell. It is called Chase the Horizon. This spell has a range of 600 feet. Let's see, where are you? Chase the Horizon. That's going to start with a CH. There we go. Alright, so the trick here is you want to make sure that your cursor is aimed at the spot you want to go to. And then cast your spell. Now this works for you and your allies. All allies within 30 feet will do this. It triggers a small load screen and then teleports your entire party up to 600 feet away from where you casted. So, I mean, geez, use this however you want. If you want to navigate a big dungeon and hop over an entire half of it, if you're up really high and need to teleport down low without dying from the fall, or vice versa. Or in an open world, if you're trying to travel really quickly or to circumvent, you know, a giant camp or something, there's a lot you can do with 300-foot range teleportation. No, 600. My mistake. 600-foot range teleportation. Very nice. All right, the last set are restoration-based spells. Of course, we're talking about druids, so you know, of course they're going to have restoration. The restoration spells can be purchased in Markarth from Bothella. And then Edla in Skal Village, Skal, 2 A's, I think that's in Solstheim. And then Froki in the Rift. So these ones will be a little harder to find. You'll probably want to Google that, unless you're heading to Markarth and then just pick them up from Bothella. Now, the novice level restoration spell is called Spirit of the Oak. And this is just a pretty basic buff. It grants the caster and living allies 20% health, or 20 health points for 60 seconds. So it's just a passive health boost for you and anyone you are attached to. So if you're running like multiple followers, or you have a lot of conjurations, or you have a lot of animated corpses courtesy of the Ordinator spell tree, this would provide 20 health to all of them. So it's kind of, the more allies you have, the more this helps, because obviously if it's just me, I get 20 health, but there's 5 of me, I get 100 health because it's 20 per person. Next is Parasitic Growth. I don't know if I want to risk actually using a combat spell on either of these guys. So Parasitic Growth, it does a little bit of damage, counts as poison, covers them in brambles. As you can see, she's slowly taking damage and getting poisoned. The catch is that once she dies, actually I'll go ahead and demonstrate. Goodbye, Asta, I apologize, this is for science. She should have a good berry in her inventory. There we go. So the good berry restores 128 points of health and magicka. Keep in mind my restoration on this character is really high, so it won't benefit you that much in the early game, but it does give you more health and more magicka. And it cures all your diseases. So if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, you can see the appeal of the druid having access to a good berry, because that's actually one of their more helpful spells when you're in the early D&D games. But that is a conversation for another day. Next is Spirit of Thornbriar. I really don't want to pick a fight with Lisanna. She is one of my modded followers, but you know, this is for science. So the way this buff works is that anyone that hits you in melee will receive that same point I just talked about, the Parasitic Growth effect. They'll get bleed and poison damage for 8 seconds if they hit you in melee. So I apologize for this. Wow. Okay, how about you? Are you going to pick a fight with me? You gotta hit me. Not with a spell. You gotta punch me. You gotta punch me. This is a melee buff. This is a melee buff. Someone hit me. There we go. Alright, so as you can see, she's now a different color and apparently surrounded in some kind of lightning fire. That is the thorn effect taking hold. And then if she dies while under the effect of that... Whoa, why does she count as a... Okay, she is a modded character from Druid... Oh, wow, someone did not want her to be hurt. That's unexpected. Okay. Alright, that is a conversation. That is a different mod. I was just trying to kill someone as an... Where did... Okay. This is getting out of hand. I don't know who summoned the Dragon Priest. Oh, that is weird. Okay, so the point of the Spirit of Thornbriar is it's a thorn spell. If they hit you in melee, they get hit with the same effect as Parasitic Growth. But again, if they die, you get that good berry spell that heals you and restores your magicka. That is the takeaway here. Not that a freaking Dragon Priest has appeared out of nowhere, and I'm not sure how that happened. Next is Bramble Growth. I showed this one in the showcase for Triumvirate as well. This covers the ground in thorns. If you're familiar with the original Maleficent, this is kind of what you do. You just create this entire garden of life-stealing thorns. And they do poison and bleed damage, and you can just slowly erode anything that opposes you. Particularly if you have a lot of magicka to deal with. But if you don't have a lot of magicka, you can also create basic... See, I'm not taking any damage, right? They don't hurt me. So you can create a little patch here, and then just keep going in a circle, and the bad guys that are chasing you will keep walking through that circle. So that's a way that if you don't have a lot of magicka, you can still maintain all that damage without needing to cover the entire floor. See, I can keep her... Come on, come towards me. Oh, no, Lysana's helping me. Oh, there you go. See, she walked right back into it and killed her. Or, not killed her. Apparently she's been flagged as essential. She is a... yeah, maybe I'll show her a little bit at the end as kind of a freebie. Last but not least, might as well check this one out. This is the last restoration spell for druids. It is called Spirit of the Sun. We're going to have to get close to Lysana for this one. This is a buff for you and your follower. Caster and living allies. You regenerate 20 points of health per second for 120 seconds. And of course it doesn't work on me because I'm part Lich, but Lysana will be benefiting from 20 health regen per second for the next 60 seconds. So she's, for all practicality, unkillable at this point. Yeah, she's taking quite a bit of a beating and not falling. For some reason, I can't actually, see her health, but she's not dying. So, oh well, so much for that. There's one downside to testing these out when you're technically a Lich and you can't heal like regular. You're gonna have to start testing these out on a different playthrough. Anyway, this is a useful spell because, oh geez, she has multiple conjurations now? Jeez, this woman is supposed to be just a shopkeeper. You're supposed to just buy some summons from her. She's not supposed to be able to use them all on you. Jeez. Alright, she's going to get her own showcase for this, just because... Wow. Okay, yeah, we're going to vacate the premises now, because I think I've done enough damage. Jeez. Anyway, so, kind of got a little distracted there. I was just wanting to test out a spell. I did not realize that shopkeeper could actually use all of those spells. Holy crap. Okay, so that shopkeeper comes from a spell pack called Druid Conjuration spells, right? I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description below as well. Anyway, she summons all sorts of crap and sells the spell tomes for each of them. You can do all sorts of druid-based animals through buying her spells, assuming you don't tick her off and she doesn't summon a dragon priest to kill you. That was unexpected. Alright, well that was more exciting than I expected. But not a bad way to end the video. That gives you an idea of what else is to come, some of the conjurations and things to follow. Thank you for accompanying me during this demonstration. I hope you guys have enjoyed looking at some of these druid spells and seeing how effective they are. I hope you guys don't forget to like the video, and if you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments below what was your favorite druid spell you saw so far, If there's anything you'd like me to go over in more detail, feel free to let me know, and I'll put it into another playthrough or another video later on down the line. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.